I'm a player, 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 oh, 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 I'm a player. If you see me looking clean cut, matching from head to toe, dipping with a mean strut.
Hello and welcome once again to another episode of Ghettofabulous Kings of War. As you can see, this week we've got an 1800 point battle, which is a little unusual. A local player is getting ready for a tournament that has that strange kind of army size, so I was going to give a test today. And thankfully we've got Invade as a scenario, so a bit of a change of pace from what I've been playing the last couple weeks. Here is my opponent's army list. Undead. I've played a couple times before. I'm actually kind of grateful. He usually has a few more vampires, which are very annoying. But he does have the horde of werewolves with +1 strength, which have always proven to be problematic for me. The legion of zombies with +1 to hit is unusual. I haven't seen him take that before, so we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. We weren't sure if the tournament was going to use the new tournament pack rules or not, so we played without the new rules. And he does have the Flying Pharaoh, which I don't think I've faced before, so I was kind of looking forward to seeing how that went, and is it as annoying as everyone says? My 1800 point list. Kind of the main thing, if you've watched my previous reports, I've dropped the Legion of Bloodworms. I thought, I gotta drop some points somewhere. Let's see if pulling out that large mega unit and kind of breaking things up a bit more will make more sense. We'll see how that plays off, but a couple regiments. I did add a second regiment of fiends. With taking the horde of bloodworms out, I had some points, so I've got 2 regiments of fiends, so a little bit more in the chaff department, I was hoping, since that seems to be a problem I've got. Here is the table and my first drop, and a couple enemy drops coming down. You can see just the plain green cutouts are forest. We don't bother putting the trees up anymore. It's just a pain to move them. A couple hills. That ruins in the middle there, we actually said would be level 2 difficult terrain. It wasn't impassable or anything. The building and the big tower are impassable, and then the hills are, I don't know, level 1 or 2. He doesn't have any shooting, I don't have any shooting, so it wasn't as big a deal. Here's the end of deployment. We'll go through in detail each of the sections of the drops, but as usual you can see I've done kind of a refused flank, so we'll see if I can punch through on the left, my left, and then roll up the center. On my left, his army line, you can see, I don't have the book, I can't remember, but they're the ghosts or spirits, whatever. It's a troop of those shambling, flying, defense 6, crushing strength 1 annoying guys, then a troop of ghouls, and then a horde of zombie trolls. And you can barely see peeking out from behind the column there, that's the Flying Pharaoh, and then a horde of skeletons. On my left, I've got the horde of fiends with Pathfinder, then the horde of fiends with the flaming oil. So if they have a chance to hit the Flying Pharaoh, at least we'll get +1 crushing strength on it. One of the Shadow Hulks, and then you can see a regiment of fiends and a horde of fiends, and one of my little horrors. His center, so there again, there's on the left that skeleton horde, then the zombie legion in the middle, with a necromancer in the back there, and then another horde of skeletons, the mounted vampire, and a troop of ghouls. My center is pretty weak. Aside from what we've already discussed from the left side, there's another Shadow Hulk, the 2 planar apparitions, and a regiment of fiends. Really, these are mostly fast units. The intent is they'll probably shift to the left for the most part, and I'll just sacrifice 1 or 2 things to hold up the middle. And on the right, I don't know, fairly early on he deployed the werewolf horde on that flank, and those have all, like I said, have always been kind of problematic for me, so that's kind of what drove me to choose to stack heavy on the left flank, to try to keep them out of the game for a little bit. So, like I discussed, with the two hordes of fiends and the Shadow Hulk. Together we can drive up on the left flank. The Shadow Hulk and a regiment of fiends in the middle can go up and just kind of stall things for a bit to give me some time to work on the left. And really, if you look, I've got another horde of fiends and a regiment of fiends kind of in the middle there. They'll advance up the center, and again they can shift either direction. If I need help on the left, go that way. If a good flanking opportunity presents itself in either direction, they can go that way. So we'll see where the opportunities arise. My opponent gets first turn and takes it, which normally objective-based missions I think is probably beneficial to go second, but Invade especially, since you're just trying to get the other side of the board, might as well go first or pin your opponent in. Not a huge amount. The werewolves, since they're nimble, can march and pivot once, so they're already moving around the corner pretty well on the right there. You can see a little bit of movement forward on the left, but not a huge amount. And then Surge pushing his zombie horde or zombie legion forward. And a nice blurry photo, so have a few drinks and squint and it'll all look better. On the left, obviously, I just charged the horde of fiends into the troop of ghouls that he has out as bait. He'll have to go with both the zombie troll horde and those flyers, and at least we'll force some action. On the center, I don't know if I should have charged as early as I did, but I figured I could get some wounds against the legion of zombies, and they probably were out of range to be supported by the skeleton, so why not give it a shot? Everything else just kind of shifts and advances a bit, but keeps our options open. I did put 7 wounds on the zombies, but obviously it's not going to be enough to take them out. And the horde of fiends had no trouble taking out the troop of ghouls. That little flying dude there is the Pharaoh. On his turn, he moves the Pharaoh on the far left there to block my horde of fiends with Pathfinder, and he's going to surge, I'm sure, those ghost guys into the flank of my fiends, and then the zombie trolls charge. In the center, the legion of zombies charge my horde of fiends, and the legion of skeletons was actually able to reach. They actually double charge, which gives them actually a little bit of extra advance. I help them speed up instead of slowing them down, so probably a bad choice on my part. There's that combo charge coming up. And yeah, had to shift a bit to make everything fit, but I was able to do so. Oh, and you can see I didn't mention the Vampire Lord down there charged my Shadow Hulk. These units easily wipe out my horde of fiends and keep the facing they've got. They, of course, wipe out the regiment of fiends as well, and I didn't put the zoom in, but you can see there's a couple wounds, probably 4 on my Shadow Hulk, which dash 20 nerve, he's fine. On my turn, turn 2, bottom of 2. On the left, you can see my horde of fiends, after I moved the regiment out of the way, I was able to come in and charge the zombie trolls, and then I had a decision to make. The Shadow Hulk could have gone for either the ghosts or the zombie trolls. I don't like the shambling flying, but I wanted to make sure I killed something. So together, the Shadow Hulk and the fiends charged the zombie trolls. The horde of fiends with Pathfinder charged the Pharaoh. If they get lucky and can kill it, they may overrun into the flank of those ghosts, and that would be very beneficial. In the center, the regiment of fiends and the Shadow Hulk together charge that vampire. He's tough. I don't have a great shot at killing him, but I might as well go for it. So here's that setup, which could go well with a little luck. And over here, if I can kill that stupid vampire and then get out of the way of the oncoming horde, I'll be pleased. That's my, not a peace sign, that's my photo to remind me I got Bane Chant off on both, which is the first part of any miracle. And yes, we wiped them out. And wiping them out brings up the next question of how do I shift everything, especially knowing that those stupid flyers could rear charge pretty much anything. So, oh, and you can see I put 6 wounds on the Pharaoh, but he's alive. And I think I forgot, I should have known that since I put 6 wounds on him, he can't cast, but I was still worried about him casting on those flyers. Regardless, I ended up turning the Horde of Fiends to the center, just to, if they pushed in aggressively towards the center, I might get a flank charge. And then I left my Shadow Hulk facing across the board to entice the flyers to give a flank charge into him, which he could take. There wasn't a lot of room for the flyers to move towards my half of the board and land, so they either would charge him or fly up, which the Shadow Hulk was facing. So I just tried to give him a more enticing target for him that I could actually afford to take a hit. We killed the vampire with a little luck, and you can see my Shadow Hulk's healed up. He only had 4 wounds. The 2 planar apparitions took care of that pretty easily. Wasn't sure what to do. They were already pretty close, so I again just threw the regiment of fiends forward and backed the Shadow Hulk up. On his turn, he does charge the Shadow Hulk with his flyers and put 6 or 7 wounds on him. And the Pharaoh charges my fiends, puts 4 wounds on them. And between regeneration and I think he has life leech, he's down, I don't know, what's that, 3 pennies or something. He's healed up quite a bit. Yes, I can see why he's annoying now. In the center, the legion of zombies and the horde of skeletons on the one flank charge in, and they put, what, 22 wounds on the fiends, but he rolls Snake Eyes to break them, which of course is huge, as you'll see next turn, because now that group of skeletons has their rear facing my horde of fiends. You can also see his werewolves march again. They couldn't charge, but they march and they're right in front of my Shadow Hulk. So here's the setup for bottom of 3. Again, on the left there, I've got a nice flank charge set, or rear charge set up with my fiends. Shadow Hulk, I may as well charge the werewolves. At least I get the first whack this time. I think, you know, it's only the bottom of the 3rd turn, but I'm already starting to think objective-wise. The objective is to get to the other half of the board, so I might as well have my fast stuff, the horrors and the apparitions, start drifting left and start moving up the table. The Shadow Hulk and the Pathfinder Fiends, they can just take out the Pharaoh and those flyers, roll up that side of the board. I'll get some points, I got time, I can get there. That means the regiment of fiends and the Shadow Hulk will have to sacrifice themselves nobly to hold up the enemy and kill whatever they can. That green-based horde of fiends is really the clincher. Do I move them into the opponent's table edge now? I don't think so. I've got a beautiful chance to destroy that legion or that horde of skeletons. So they have to take the rear charge. That will give his army some more things to attack. But yeah, they're fairly tough, and maybe they'll keep, since he's on the border basically, maybe it'll keep some of his units out of scoring. So that's the thought process. Take the opportunity, but everything else is going to start trying to shift to the left and up. So that's what we do. Shadow Hulk on the left there charges the flyers. Again, the fiends charge the Pharaoh and hope they can overrun. All those little fast supporty guys start moving left. Rear charge. And I think the regiment of fiends, I figure with the rear charge I had that group of skeletons, so I might as well put a few more wounds onto the zombies in the middle there. My Shadow Hulk does 1 wound to the flyers. They've been doing pretty well, but that was an epic whiff when I didn't need it. And we put up to 8 wounds on the Pharaoh again, but that's not enough to kill him, so he's fine. In the center, I put 4 wounds on the werewolves. He's up to what, 12 wounds on the zombies. And as you can see there, the horde of skeletons with rear charge is wiped out. And that brings us to the top of 4. Not too many decisions on his part at this point. He charges the ghouls and zombie horde legion into my regiment there in the center. On the right, he's kind of stuck actually. There's so much crap in the way. He can only charge my Shadow Hulk with the werewolf horde. That horde of skeletons in the back isn't able to assist, and the ghouls were too far or couldn't fit in either. He does put 8 wounds on the Shadow Hulk. I said those werewolves are pretty nasty, but dash 20, he's fine. You can see the ghouls already up there. They overrun because the the nuked regiment didn't survive and they overran. And the legion of zombies has reformed, which could be good. Fiends are pretty good at taking out really weak targets like low defense targets like that. And with now 11 wounds after life leeching, I should be able to do a little bit of damage to him. Another slightly blurry photo. Oh, on the left here you can see his flyers flew out of combat and actually charged one of my horrors and put a few wounds onto him. And the flying pharaoh did not countercharge my fiends. He actually flew over and attacked one of my planar apparitions. But anyway, here's the setup. Obviously, the Shadow Hulk's going to charge these stupid werewolves again. See if I can punch them out. And you can see in the upper left corner there, the horde of fiends charging into the zombies. That would be a nice unit to wipe out. Planar apparitions, they kind of move a little bit more center. They're safe, and they've got enough mobility across the center line, but they're going to try to heal. Or at least the one can. And we actually, because his flying dudes failed to kill the horror, they did waver him though. He had to back up there, you can see. That gives my fiends a flank charge, so hopefully we can finish them off. And my Shadow Hulk is just running into the objective area. You can see a pile of pennies, but once again we've failed to kill the stupid ghost things. And actually the planar apparition on the right ends up healing the Shadow Hulk. He was in 12. We get up to 21 wounds on the zombies, but that's not enough. Legion has pretty good nerfing. It's dash 27. So with a necromancer there, they were able to survive, which is not going to be good for me. And on the right, you can see the werewolves are gone. That Shadow Hulk managed to destroy them on his second attack, so they're gone. Which brings us to the top of 5. You can see the flyers, the ghosts there, they're running away. They don't want to get destroyed. They want to get their points. So they've flown into my area. The Pharaoh actually has rear charged the green-based horde of fiends, and then the zombie legion has charged into the front. That's going to be a lot of wounds, and it's a pretty important unit. I do have his inspiring necromancer nearby, so I may be okay. And you can see the combo charge against my Shadow Hulk over there. Although again, he's been healed. I think he's up to 6 wounds now, so he may be okay. Between the flank charge and the skeletons up front, he is not destroyed, which is great. It gives him one more turn to punch stuff. Looks like, 16 wounds on the horde of fiends. But again, he rolls snake eyes, so I can only say luck's on my side this game. Their nerve is 1720, so he should have at least been looking at a waver or a fairly good chance to break him. But instead, he rolls another snake eyes. I'll take it. Bottom of 5. Obviously, I've got to countercharge the zombies. The Shadow Hulk here is just going to countercharge the ghouls. He's not going to kill the horde of skeletons, but he has a chance to kill something. So we'll take out the ghouls. As usual, change of plan. The horde of fiends is going to charge the his zombies, of course. And I had the opportunity. It's like, oh, I might as well charge that Pharaoh again. It's only turn 5. I'll have one more turn at least. I can maybe, if I don't kill the Pharaoh, I can still get into his deployment area and get scoring points. But I'd like to kill it. And the Shadow Hulk keep moving into the deployment area. I've got the horrors there to cast Bane Chant. I heal up the group of fiends here. The Shadow Hulk does kill the troop of ghouls. I don't know why I had him overrun. I think it was some crazy thought. Well, maybe if they charge, they'll have to get close to the center. Maybe they'll overrun, and a corner of them will be over the center line. Whatever it was, just trying to get them away from my edge and more towards the center of the table, so maybe they wouldn't be scoring. You can see the Horde of Fiends does kill the group of zombies. And you can see the stupid Pharaoh on the left is still alive. Yes, he's annoying. I can see why they toned him down. He has wavered, however, which is, of course, what the Diet Mountain Dew bottle cap represents, as we all know. So, top of 6. Not a lot left for him to do. You can see he rear charges the Shadow Hulk, which is fine. I gave it to him. I suppose I could have just faced him head on and hoped to survive. It doesn't matter, though. He's not going to make it into my table edge, I don't think. He flank charges my fiends there with his flyers. He's still on his table edge. He may as well go for it, I guess. If he can kill them, I won't have them in my table edge. And I'm not sure what the Pharaoh's doing. I think he's just moving to get into his table's edge, my edge for scoring. The Skeleton Horde does kill the Shadow Hulk. No surprise there with a rear charge, and that was about 75 attacks or something crazy. He put several wounds and wavers my Horde of Fiends, which is irritating. And here is the bottom of 6 on my turn, and we're just going to move everything possible into my table edge, which is going to be the Shadow Hulk, 2 horrors, and eventually 2 planar apparitions will get up there as well. And the fiends will just reform. I don't think they're across the center line, but at least they're not going to get rear charged. And I heal them up in case the flyers come and try to flank charge them with Surge. And that's the end of the game. Brings us to 740. Again, for the Shadow Hulk, 2 planar apparitions and 2 horrors on my side, versus, I believe, his Pharaoh, Horde of Skeletons, and his troop of ghosts. So, what did we learn? Just like I said at the top, beginning of the game, I think in Invade, it's an advantage to go first. Yes, it's an objective-based mission, but the objective is huge, and if you can pin your opponent into it, into their deployment zone, you get a huge boost to the mission. So you might as well go for it. I got boxed in kind of early. It seems refused flank seems like a good idea, and I think it is overall. But that means you're going to be cornered for a turn or two, and this army doesn't necessarily punch toe-to-toe very well. I gotta be very focused and careful about how I charge to knock things out. And I was a little hesitant. I probably could have advanced a little more aggressively in the first turn. I was worried about the flyers getting surge on my flanks or flying behind me and surge into the rear or something. And on the left, I could have been a little bit more aggressive, I think. And like it says there too, just more practice against flyers, tough individual flyers like the Pharaoh, just so you can come up with better counters for them. This particular game, I might have had too much invested in support units. almost a third of the army, the 2 horrors and the 2 planar apparitions, that might be a bit much. So if I'd taken one of those out and add another attacking unit, something that could fight a bit, that may have helped with the punchy issue in point number 2. Again, I like the Scrying Gem. If you've got a very small army or a huge army, number of units wise, it may not be beneficial. But yeah, I think this is a fairly moderately sized army, and getting the opponent to deploy things early. Again, this one, it let me keep the werewolves to one flank and keep them out of the game for a couple turns, and it encouraged him to rush the werewolves in a bit early. I mean, they almost always get to charge first. They've always charged first in my games, but because they had lost a couple turns, he was a little reckless and ran them up, so my Shadow Hulk could charge them first, kind of giving away one of their huge benefits. So, yeah, I think it's a good addition for armies in the moderate-sized range, especially if you're counting on mobility and outflanking and punching through weak spots, or there's certain advantageous matchups you're really hoping for. It gives you a better chance to set those up. every AR I talk about the stupid Shadow Hulks. Every game I complain about how I hate them, and I don't fit in the army. In almost every game they do a pretty good job, and this one they did pretty well as well. The one on the left didn't have as many opportunities, but he survived and scored 170 points. Half credit on killing the zombie trolls, and the one lame wound on the air elementals. If he had rolled average or even close to average, 3 or 4 wounds, I may have killed those stupid things. The one on the right, though, he put a lot of wounds on that vampire when he and the regiment of fiends charged it. He killed the werewolf horde all alone. He killed the ghoul troop, and like it says there, he held up their flank from us again. He took a lot of attention. They're tough, even though they're only defense 4. The dash 20 nerve makes a big difference, and they seem to get targeted a lot, which gives my healers something very specific to target. Instead of damage being scattered about across multiple units, I've only got 2 heals. But when it's just those Shadow Hulks getting pounded because they're easier shooting targets or whatever, it makes it a lot easier for my apparitions to heal. So I don't know. I may end up doubling down and putting a third one in, just to see how it works. They don't match up with the fiends and the speedy element so much, but maybe there's a different role they can play. The last part I'll say, and I've heard other commenters on Kings of War mention this, is never give up. Yes, it's annoying when you roll Snake Eyes to break something of your opponents, and in this game with 2 critical Snake Eyes. Although it seems rolling Snake Eyes is almost always critical when you're trying to break something. The game can switch. I felt pretty pessimistic early on that I was boxed in and he was going to steamroll me and I wasn't going to get out. But with a good luck roll here or there, I had poor luck trying to break his Pharaoh and his Air Elemental or his Ghost things, but it gets countered out when he rolls poorly to break units. If you play and you keep playing and try to make the best decisions, opportunities may arise. You can take advantage of them. So never give up, never surrender, and you may come out on top. So there you go. That's the battle report. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think.